Yo, welcome to Crate 808, and today we have another stellar interview for you all, coming up with the great DJ Yoda. Yes, all you UK heads and more will know about this man, so it was really nice to talk to him. We're going to jump into that interview in a bit, but before that, we wanted to just have a little catch-up with our main man over in Perth, Raymond Ridge. How you doing, man?
How's it going? It's all good. How you doing?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. What's Perth saying?
Perth's like in a bubble of its own where everything's still open and just completely normal. So obviously in Melbourne, there's a massive, everyone's on lockdown, curfew, police on the streets, like get the fuck back in your houses, like gunpoint, all that business. And who knows what's going on over there. And here I'm just like, going to the pub and everything's normal. It's weird. It's weird. It's just it's weird that it's all happening. It literally, it's just a bubble.
Just a gleeful bliss of like just normality from Ray there. So hopefully it's something we can all grab onto, listen to this podcast. Just, someone's out there chilling out. He hasn't got a care in the world, this lad. He's just going on about his business. Good work, man.
Just chilling. So in terms of, we've already said about how non-COVID social distancing compliant Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is, but yeah, just done that today as well. I'll come back with some more bruises as well, but literally sweating in each other's mouths.
Brilliant. Are you still being the creepy guy? Still being the creepy guy in the class where they won't twin you with girls?
No, they've stopped me doing that. So it's
this sounds really bad. Bad. We should cut all this because he sounds like a real creep. Right, but man, you heard DJ Yoda, this interview we're about to put out there. I really enjoyed it, man. I thought, first of all, it's nice to hear from a DJ, fundamental foundation of rap, obviously, but also someone who pushes the limits, Ray. I thought it was quite a nice interview. Just listen to the way he's going on, very experimental. I mean, Stranger Things, the stuff he did with that, took off, man. He's been killing it. What are you saying, Ray?
Yeah, it's weird to hear, again, just off the back of saying that everything's normal in Perth, when you're hearing about because that's his whole lifestyle, isn't it? Traveling the world, DJing in parties and all of those things. And, with a lot of other people that have been on as well, it's just not, those options are off the table now. And it's, with R.A. the Rugged Man, Rob Percy, just all these people that were doing other things that so it's interesting to hear, he's got some projects on the go, and it's weird talking about it before the pod because I don't want to drop any spoilers.
Oh, mate, there's some good, honestly, genuinely, some really good trivia coming up. But before I do jump into the Yoda interview with everyone, and we are going to do our mailbag section. Yes, we've had some great correspondence. That's coming up. But before that, Ray, man, I haven't even touched base with you since our infamous Boldy James interview, bro. Boom, 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 boom. Sleep in that shit, yo. Mate, what a man. What a man. Can I just give a quick play-by-play here, Ray, for the people who are listening at home about what happened at the end of that episode? Just because we were sitting there and Ray, I end up messaging him. You weren't messaging back, mate, because you were kipping. And I said, you need to wake the fuck up and see what's happening right now. You woke up and it just said, WTF, first message. Second one, is that ... And the third one, all caps, am I still sleeping? And that pretty much summed up everything how I felt. But Ray, man, how you feeling about that? Westside Gunn, bit of Griselda for you, mate, on the podcast?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that all the stuff that I said about Griselda
I know.
hasn't been said. But yeah, man, I mean, you respect the hustle, haven't you? And yeah, he seemed like a cool guy as well.
Mate, really cool. I enjoyed him. I enjoyed Boldy, man. Boldy's interview, it has performed so well. He's showed us a lot of love. So big up Griselda, big up Boldy.
But it's just so genuine as well, wasn't it? Just the and the family in the background. It's just it's just real, wasn't it? So
yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. I mean, this is so odd. Listening back to DJ Yoda, because DJ Yoda that's coming up, that was recorded quite a while back. But when you're listening to that interview, and me and him just go off on one about Westside Gunn and how much we love him, and then like Griselda, and you're like, oh yeah, by the time I recorded that to the time I'm actually publishing it, he jumped on my podcast. That's fucking mad. So yeah, it's just really odd. But Ray, actually, on that, man, I heard a few rumblings on the WhatsApp chats that you're actually feeling Benny the Butcher's newest project.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, how long I've waited for this sweet, sweet day.
I mean, it caught me off guard. It was... So how I operate on you going through the Create 808 Bangers playlist, obviously you're curating that. Then when a banger comes on, I'm like, oh shit. So I'll go into it and then go to album and then listen to the whole album. And I just found myself doing it with that. And I wasn't even paying attention to whose it was. But, obviously Benny the Butcher has his very distinct. Some would say samey way of rapping all the time. But yeah, it's. I guess what worked is that he's got the others on there as well, and it's I don't know, it's just musically it was good as well.
So this is just so people who are out there who might be thinking which one it is. It's the DJ Drama and Benny the Butcher Respected Sopranos project that came out. I really like it. I think it's solid. I don't know if I haven't rewound it as much because. Like, I don't know if you know, but 38 Spesh, Marlowe, Blue and Exile, all these people have been dropping projects. All of them are on the Create 808 Bangers playlist, by the way, people. The link is in the show notes, but obviously go check it out. So the Black Soprano family that you're banging on about, you're enjoying that project. One of the first few Griselda projects you're enjoying, man, right?
Well, you put out 1,000 albums, people are going to like one of them, aren't they? Come on.
Mate, I'm enjoying the rise they're on, though. So to see that you're like maybe just enjoying a few of their things is cool to me. Conway the Machine's new album, mate. I reckon you might. I don't know, some of the 90s features on there already. I'm like, maybe might get him in. But on that, we are going to jump into DJ Yoda in a minute. I've got to just do the mailbag, Ray. I've got to bring this mailbag to the people, man, because they've been pitching their emails back to us. And just so you know, right, in the DJ Yoda interview, I don't want to give up too much away, but there is a little story about when he had Madlib crash on his couch. That's generally just Madlib just crashing on his couch, as well as a host of other amazing DJs. So for people out there who want to get shouted out on the pod and who want to get into the mailbag and the correspondence, I want to know, which 90s rapper would you want crashing on your couch for a weekend? Or wouldn't you want? Either one, I'd love both. So create808@gmail.com, hit us up, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Who would you want crashing on your couch? Yoda had Madlib. Ray, who do you want crashing on your couch, mate?
Yeah, it's just, like when you're on, rap Twitter, and like every other motherfucker is saying, like, puts out a top 5 and then says, oh yeah, prove me wrong, oh fight me, and everyone's just transparently trying to up their followers and up their interactions and just part of me is this, everything you've just said, this is another version of that, isn't it? Like, guys, send us in your blah blah blah, or we're gonna read it out of the podcast. Yeah. But DMX, I was thinking. Like, I started with DMX, I would not want him over because he's just a bit too religious for me. And each to their own, it's fine, But after seeing him on the, I'd want to have that conversation, I can't remember the tune when it's like, show no love to homo. You'd have to ask him, X, look, because you got to hope everyone's grown as a human being and to be more accepting. And
yeah, of course.
Just some of it's really kind of, you just want to have that chat with like, do you still really show no love to homo? I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's so odd, right? Because obviously the Snoop DMX battle has happened. I loved that. The whole thing. It's up there with the RZA Preemo for me. Those were so good. But you're right, mate. He was just listing off women's names, mate. Just listing them off. And I know, right, that there's complications about all of this. And I was just thinking about all them artists that change their lyrics. The guys who change the stuff that they spit when they go live or whatever. That obviously that call hasn't hit DMX. Yeah. When he's just going for it full on. And I was like, do you know what? Maybe and again, I'm not casting any aspersions to people who are religious or whatever, but I don't know if that helps or not. Being surrounded by very conservative Christian values, maybe that's one of the barriers that has stopped DMX kind of like just changing them lyrics a little bit. Do you know what I mean? But then, mate, what the fuck, man? I'm doing some Ice Cube notes. I'm watching Ice Cube right now on Instagram Live. He's not apologetic at all for the early 90s, the stuff that he said. So, maybe it's just part of hip-hop where he's like, what the fuck? But not going to lie, it felt a little bit odd, but I enjoyed the whole thing. It was a real good celebration of our culture. But
Ice Cube he moved himself away from the lynch mob there, didn't he?
He did, but then also, mate, he doesn't regret any of it. So
okay, yeah.
Yeah, like, and I'm not saying he should feel regret, whatever. I think
The Lynch Mob had some ridiculous tunes as well. So so what's a little bit of racism? DMX is just okay, fine. Let's not. I'm not going to advocate it too hard.
I love that. Hold on 2 seconds. Zian is just full on. Just walked into this recording. What a fucking joke.
Let's do it. This is it's set up, isn't it? This is what happened. Like Boldy James had the whole family on, and you're like, I bet you briefed him. You briefed him before you pressed record, didn't you? Said, Zian, okay, give it 5 minutes, then walk in and act all cute. People will love it. We need more followers.
Yeah, mate. Jesus, when you're saying that. At Crate808, by the way, on Twitter for those same conversations that Ray's been talking about. Pick one of these. Pick one of these, guys. Mate, it's a game. We all have to play it. I'm sorry. But we're going to keep moving, right? We're going to keep it moving into the mailbag. One of the things that also I did want to pitch before the mailbag, I know we keep logging it out, but talking to Yoda, man, there's basically a lot of gushing about 90s. So 90s heads, you're going to enjoy this interview. There's a lot of gushing up about 90s, a lot of DJ talk, but also we touched about Preemo. We recorded this actually just around the time when Ty passed away. And we were saying in this conversation how much like it's amazing to have people who have been given their flowers who are still alive. And it would have been nice for Ty to have seen this outpouring, after his passing. And we talked about Preemo, and I was like, man, like that the standing he has in 2020 is amazing. Like he's on RTJ, he's on Griselda stuff. He's basically doing so much cool, innovative stuff now, and people are loving him. And I love that, man. And I think it's just great he's around. Just the same as Snoop, just the same as DMX, same as these people who are around at the moment. But I pitched in our last episode, Ray, that I wanted to we've got a Slept On Wu-Tang Bangers playlist. Yes, bang on. But I wanted to do a Slept On Preemo Bangers playlist. And by the way, big up our follower, Ali Mulfari in Sydney, because she actually pushed me to do this as well. She was like, you need to do this. We should do this. And I was like, yes, man, you're right. I've been thinking about it. I've been waiting on it too long. Let's do a Slept On Preemo Bangers playlist. So people, man, hit us up with your Slept On Preemo Bangers, and we're going to do a little playlist, share it out there. Bing, bang, bosh. So yes, Ray, I'm not even going to get involved in this one. I'm just going to let the users go for it. But I want to hear some of your takes, man. If you got any on the top of your head.
Rakim, it's been a long time. That would be number one of that list.
No, of course, it's like you sleep with that track. Do you listen to that track every week? I think you probably do.
I wake up to it every day. Go to sleep to it every day.
Hey, actually, on that, do you know what? I actually genuinely used to listen to Rakim every morning. Was my alarm to Know the Ledge. So I genuinely did wake up to Know the Ledge for like years. It's Know the Ledge, isn't it? But then on that, actually, mate, one of the things that you can maybe email us about, inappropriate voicemail messages. I did used to have, my work told me to change this when my phone used to be started to use for work. But but that skit in Yeah Baby by Big Pun on the album, where he just goes, yeah, baby. That bit, that was just my voicemail message for years, mate. And people were calling for work and they were like, mate, you've got to change that, man. So it's Big fucking Pun, man. How am I change that? I did. I gave in. I sucked that corporate dick. I had to, man. But I had to. Got kids, man. But, right, so the mailbag itself, inappropriate shit like that, throw it to us. But I'm going to go in here, Ray, yeah? I'm going to go in here on some of our own little cheeky ones we got coming up. So we asked for the most ludicrous lyrics you've ever heard. So Ray, I know we've all got a few, and I pitched Black Rob's a few bars on Whoa, which was we all know about, which were great. But another one I found, Andre 3000 on So Fresh and So Clean, right? Probably the most inappropriate pickup line I've ever heard. I love who you are, I love who you ain't. You're so Anne Frank. Let's hit the attic to hide out for about 2 weeks.
Jesus.
Right, yeah. I was waiting for that. So you're so Anne Frank alone is probably just don't bother using that. But the fact it's in something like So Fresh and So Clean, which is like a proper mainstream track, and Andre's just like, I'm just going to drop in a Anne Frank pickup line. So there you go. But we had a few more of the inappropriate lyrics come out, right? So we had this one, Ray, I think you'll enjoy. This is from Simon Harrison. Big up Simon Harrison. OG Dutch Master in 2015, yeah? I'm the type to get catfished and still fuck that bitch. So it's wildly inappropriate. OG Dutch Master, I'm just thinking about getting catfished and not doing it. I think a lot of people would do it. I still think a lot of people would still get catfished and still do it, right?
Yeah. I'm just...
Don't know about that one. Don't know about that one if I would. Either way, another one he's bought us, right? Also this from Zach Fox. I got addictions. I took my condom off and drunk my nut. It's delicious. I want to get a whip and crash it into a white-owned businesses. There's so many layers. Think to the layers.
There's layers.
Right, I've got addictions. He took his own condom off and drunk his own nut. It's delicious. And just wild left-hand turn. I want to get a whip and crash it into white-owned businesses. Like, I'm here for these kind of left-hand turns for this stuff, right? Come on.
I just think the only way you can justify it is if it is flowed ridiculously, and I think you're butchering it. So I just feel shock. Actually,
hold on. So you're more worried about the flow more than the fact that he's addicted to drinking his own semen out of a condom.
Yeah, but if you
mate, the flow don't matter here, yo dog. It's the substance.
So that's it. You can say something horrifically disgusting, but if the flow's sick, it justifies it, doesn't it? It justifies in it. Well, within. Yeah,
true.
There's Otherwise, you're just chatting shit, aren't you? That's this whole fucking podcast. There you go.
Yeah. Which is pretty much his podcast. It is pretty much his podcast. Okay, so any more ludicrous lyrics that you guys have got, please throw them in. crate808@gmail.com. I'm waiting for more of these, by the way. But I've got to wade through some of these other ones, mate. I've got where's the weirdest place you've met a rapper? Yeah, Ray. Okay. So
yeah,
I had one from Grindhouse Music, who does our music. And this is superb, right? I was in the backstage press area of a festival getting some food, brought it, started to go to town on it. It was delicious, but even messier than I thought, with sauce and grease running everywhere. Even worse, it was one of those food stands that only gives you one napkin. Just then, I see Ghostface Killer walk in and start queuing for a kebab. Ghost is one of my favourites out of the Woo, been in and around my top 5 since the 90s, and there's not many rappers I want to meet more than Ghostface Killer. So my immediate instinct was to go and introduce myself. But what do I do about all this greasy mess on my hands and chin and the half-eaten box of chicken I still really wanted? Dilemma. He's at the front of the queue and he won't be there for long. Not enough time to eat the chicken and wash up, or even chuck the chicken away and wash up and get back and say hello before he gets his food. So I didn't want to interrupt him eating because I'm not a monster. So I thought, do I go for it? But what sort of frothing madman would I look like if I ran up to Ghostface Killer, bits of barbecue chin around my jowls, hands raised like a doctor waiting to scrub up because they're dripping grease, and shout, "I love your work, Ghost. I've got all your albums."
Gotta do it.
Would you? Well, he decided he can't have Tony Starks going back and saying to Raekwon that he just met a fucking lunatic whilst he was getting a kebab. So I glumly decided it was better to just watch him wistfully from afar until he disappeared, polystyrene kebab carton in hand. Man, Jesus. And his PS, and he had about 5 fucking napkins, the bastard. That's good. I think that's just when really polite, overly polite English archetypes go to town, man. That's what happens, isn't it? They just do you in, and you're like, I can't do it. But Ray, you'd have got in, Ray.
Yeah, because wouldn't the story have been much better to finish with, and then Ghostface told me to fuck off, or whatever he would have said, whatever he would have said. I'm sure he wouldn't have. I'm sure he would have been like, "Cool, man, do you want a napkin?" I don't know. I've got a few spare.
Well, yeah, you're right. Maybe I think I still would as well. Actually, I've done worse. To be fair, I'm not going to go into that, but I probably have done worse. But anyway, man, we have talked for way too long. Let's get to the interview at hand. DJ Yoda. Coming up, settle down, get some anecdotes on the go. Raymond, man, I'm going to catch you the next time I see you, bro.
Cool. See you later.
Ray just coming to have a little chat. And off he pops. Brilliant. Right, man. I love it. Okay, let's go.
Yo, what's good, y'all? This is Master Ace, Brooklyn, New York, Crooklyn Dodgers, all that. You're checking out the Crate 808 podcast. Make sure you tune in every time.
Yo, welcome to Crate 808, and today we are honoured to have multi-award-winning turntablist extraordinaire, DJ Yoda, in the house. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. You caught me like mid-lockdown. I'm pretty tired, but chilled, and it's been a sunny day, so I'm just kind of mellow. All good.
Nice. What's the source of the tiredness?
Just been out in the sun all day, if I'm honest. It's been really hot today, and it's the end of a long day. I probably just need a drink, to be honest.
That's fair enough, man. That's fair enough. Well, before I kind of infringe on my opening question, which I ask every guest, Yoda, what's the least hip-hop thing you've done in the last 24 hours, man?
Oh, I do so much un-hip-hop stuff. I mean, it's kind of laughable. Let me think. I'll come up with something brilliant for this. Hang on.
Go there, no, take your time.
Yeah, I was eating a quiche in a river today. There you go.
Man, even if I asked you what flavour that quiche was, it's still not gonna redeem you, man.
It doesn't get any more hip hop than that, does it?
Mate, what a delightful life you lead. Like a quiche in a river. Brilliant. Oh man, good work. You were on like a canal boat or something, right? You weren't just...
No, I was just I just had my feet in the river eating a quiche.
Oh, that is great. I really hope you're inspired to do a new mixtape out of that somehow. You know, just like this. Yeah, man, I need to do some quiche rap. You're right. How are you dealing with the lockdown generally? How's it all going for you, man?
It's a major adjustment lifestyle wise. Apart from anything, just, you know, it's been over 20 years since I've been traveling around every week DJing. And this is the longest stretch that I have just stayed in London, where I live.
Yeah.
So that is weird, and it's taken an adjustment. But then the other side of things has been the live streaming, which is just the way that all the DJs have gone with it, and getting into that world. And that's been really interesting and satisfying as well, just because I've had to teach myself a lot, and it's a different way of DJing. So it's brought something fresh to the table for me. And that's all I've really looked for throughout this whole career, is just kind of ways to keep it interesting. And this has definitely done that.
Yeah, man, definitely. I mean, when you're saying there, you've had to learn how to deal with it. I see a lot of different people trying different things. It feels a bit like the Wild West a little bit, even though live's been around for a while. But I don't know, every day I wake up and there's always someone, and they're always, I don't know, trying something different.
The whole situation is like in flux at the moment. The dust hasn't settled, and everyone's doing their own thing, which is often the most exciting time. There's no industry standard yet. Things are changing on a day-by-day basis. I'm learning stuff every day. Like, I kind of made a decision this week to give up on trying to stream on Facebook, because they seem to be taking live DJ stuff down really like viciously with the copyright side of things. Yeah, you just get shut down. Like, every time I've tried it, only a few minutes into the set before they kind of take you down, which is a shame, because a lot of people are on Facebook. But Instagram's been cool. I've been enjoying that. And then, you know, a lot of people are doing Twitch. So I'm going to try a few Twitch ones as well.
That'd be nice, man, because I'm thinking of the stuff you've done. When you talk about creative and want to get your teeth into something, man, when you do, I don't know, when you find a theme or something, you really do run with it, man. And I have to say, Just Blaze is one of them people that, I don't know, it's just timing. My little lad gets me up early, and Just Blaze just tends to go on at that time. And he always puts stuff on Twitch now. I've only signed up for Twitch now purely to see his sets. Have you seen any of those? He's
got a really interesting setup, hasn't he? He's kind of gone like full kind of as many camera angles and special effects and movies playing and all kinds of stuff. It's interesting. I'm a little bit confused by it, but I also kind of like it as well.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to see where you go with that. But definitely give us all a shout when you do go onto Twitch and stuff. I just think that you've got a lot more, range, I suppose, on that platform. Like, to just go for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it works really well with the visual side of things, because obviously I do all the AV DJing as well. So when you're DJing with video, it's an ideal platform for it.
Talking about quarantine, mate, and the lockdown, how's the quarantine cuisine treating you? I know you've talked about a quiche, but...
Well, doesn't the quiche just answer your question?
You know what? I suppose it does.
Yeah, that kind of sums it all up. No, I don't know. It's I'm such a fan of, probably my favourite thing about the travel that I've been lucky enough to do is the food. I just love that aspect of, I just feel very lucky and blessed that I've had those years of DJing and traveling around and eating everywhere, because that's the exciting thing to me, is turning up in Japan or turning up in South Africa or wherever it is and just getting to eat in those places. So yeah, this is humdrum compared to that, but I am enjoying cooking at home. I always enjoy that.
Nah, that's good, man. That's good. But before we do kick off to any other kind of bits then, just wanted to get a bit of background on you, man, for the listeners. And obviously, a lot of people know you in the scene, but there are just some things I've always wondered with you, mate. As in, like, why hip hop? You have so many different tastes, and I'm just wondering, I don't know, as a kid, like, what did you find in this music that kind of maybe you didn't find somewhere else and you kind of ran with it?
I mean, first of all, I grew eclectic tastes. I never really, when I was growing up, all I listened to was hip hop. From the age of maybe 14 through to 24, I would say those 10 years, I didn't want to know about it if it wasn't hip hop. I didn't want to hear anything that had like a 4/4 dance beat to it. I didn't want to hear anything with a guitar in it. I was single track minded on hip hop. But what I've grown to realize is like hip hop encompasses everything, and it's the only type of music that I can think of that does like that. You can just wear your influences on your sleeve, no matter what you're into. There's no other kind of music where you can just literally play the records that you like in the songs that you're making.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like that's why it kind of stands above everything else, because you can just, your influences can be thrown in no matter how diverse they are. But in terms of what got into it in the first place, when I was really young, when I was 8-9 years old, I was into pop music. It was top of the pops at the time. My parents both worked in the music industry, and they worked in pop music, so I was around a lot of that stuff. I was even at video shoots and gigs and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's mad.
But the stuff that stood out to me was there was this period in the late 80s where you would get kind of hip hop versions of pop songs with samples in and scratching. I mean, some of it sounds pretty cheesy now, but to me it just stood out. And then you had things like Bomb the Bass and S Express and Cold Cut, who were throwing in samples and making these kind of like, even Jive Bunny, which is like so tacky.
Jive Bunny, let's go. Yeah.
I know it's tacky, but like the techniques that they were using were no different to any of those other DJs that I just mentioned. And the idea was a mega mix. I mean, I remember one of the first records I had was like a Rick Astley, Michael Jackson mega mix thing, where they just kind of threw in all samples and beats over the pop songs that you knew. So it was those kind of like use of samples and scratching and mega mixes that kind of caught my ear. And that's what I started to get interested in. I was like, how can I like use these techniques and just play all the stuff that I like? So that was my entry into it. And then probably the first hip hop that I heard or like had albums of would have been things like Ice-T, Big Daddy Kane, Salt and Pepper, Gangstar, probably Step in the Arena, I would have thought.
Were you into that stuff when the kids, like, because your mates were into it as well, or did you kind of just like find it on your own and plough your own kind of furrow throughout the whole thing?
Definitely the latter. I didn't have any friends that were into that kind of thing for years.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah, for several years it was kind of just me out there on my own, discovering what hip hop I could find. And even when I started DJing, I saved up, like did kind of weekend jobs and summer jobs and earned the money to buy turntables. And even when I got them, I didn't know any other DJs. There's no internet. So I spent a long trying to teach myself to DJ with no advice and getting it completely wrong. Like I ruined records, I ruined needles. But to me, that's a better way to learn. I don't know. I just feel like I've kind of gone through the paces and understand. You've got to know what not to do first, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. When was the first time you got to share your love for rap then? Like, who was it with? Like, do you remember that moment where you're like, oh my God, this other person loves it, so do I?
It probably would have been when I started going to record shops. And I mean, MK is probably one of my oldest hip hop friends, just from him working in probably Handspun, or it was before Deal Real.
Yeah.
There was a record shop he worked in. And then there was a DJ called Go, who was one of the mixologists. He lived pretty close to where I live, so we hung out and scratched together and made mixtapes. And Benny G, who went on to be in Jack Beats. And I just started kind of getting in with this community, and it started to become more social. It was a few years into it. I was like, I'd been making tapes before I didn't met any of these people.
Oh, good man. I love that. I find that creative impulse is there straight away then. I mean, when you...
Well, it was a different time because there was no internet, so you couldn't connect with people like that, You'd buy a Hip Hop Connection magazine and read it, and that's how I got in touch with Dan Greenpeace and all the Fat Lace guys as well.
For sure.
But there was no, I was too young to go to clubs. It was just, there was no other way for it to
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. So when you were doing these tapes, and why was it DJing that got hold of you? Please tell me there was a period of breakdancing or like rapping or something like that beforehand.
There was no period of breakdancing. There was no period of graffiti. There was a tiny window period of rapping, which I have the cassettes.
I love the fact you sheepishly said that. You don't. I need to hear them, but no.
No one is going to be hearing that.
What was the MC name? Did you have an MC name by that time?
No, I don't. I didn't even have an MC name. I was not serious.
Fair. Talking of names, then. I mean, come on, iconic, man. DJ Yoda. Where did that come from? Just love Star Wars, or was it something else?
I mean, it's a funny one, that, because at one point I was making tapes under the name DJ B, which are just my initials anyway.
Mm-mm.
And then I started kind of copying them up and selling them in local record stores. And I needed a better name. And I was with a friend, and we were just, I had a big Yoda toy by my turntables, and that's really just it. We were just like, all right, DJ Yoda, like, just write it down. And now here I am 25 years later, just stuck with it. I never really liked it that much, and it's kind of misleading because I'm not a huge Star Wars fan like that. I mean, everyone my age grew up with Star Wars and had Star Wars figures, and I had that Yoda toy. Like, I liked it enough to have a toy.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not the kind of guy that can tell you like the length of spaceships and the name of planets and stuff.
So that then makes me think, man. That just makes me think. Have you been like, just when you're gigging or traveling the world, has there ever been that mistake happen where someone comes up and like, that Easter egg in Return of the Jedi? Like, has there ever been anything like that?
I get that, and I get a lot of oh, I thought you'd be small and green. It's not that funny.
Well, it got me, mate. I mean, wow.
Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it's funny to other people. I don't know.
Maybe it's to other
funny
people.
To me.
It just angers you, just triggers you, but you're like, no.
Yeah, mate, I'm triggered by it, definitely.
When I was thinking of Star Wars the other day, it was just on and had it on in the background, and I was thinking, if they ever did a rap remake of Star Wars, who would Yoda be? I just couldn't think of anyone except for CeeLo. So, have you got one? Please tell me this has crossed your mind. It's not just me.
I'll be honest, it's never crossed my mind. I've never thought about it. I've always collected like Star Wars related hip hop music, but I've never thought about it in those terms.
Just me.
I do remember like the second trilogy of Star Wars films, the ones that came out around 99, 2000. I was so pissed off just because I felt that they were really shit and Yoda was really shit in it. I was like, you're ruining my name. Like, stop being so crap.
Stop being so crap.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But luckily, Mandalorian's pulled it back. Yoda's cool again.
Do you know what? Yeah, pretty much. Memes on galore, mate, with that one. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So when you started your DJing and you were like kind of emerging into that scene, do you remember a time when the first time you got validation, as in like, wow, you're actually good at this?
I mean, I just think back to the way that the mixtapes that I made were selling, because I did just copy them up for mates to begin with, and then I would take like 5 or 10 to Mr. Bongo's in London, and then the next time I did a tape, they were like, "Oh, well, can we take 20?" And then it was, "Can we take 50?" And it went up gradually like that. So until I was like getting them done in the thousands. So Diesel, the clothes company, had this competition called U Music Awards, and people submitted mixes for that. And that was like a big deal. I remember after that, I started getting press and doing interviews and taking press shots and being in magazines. And I just felt like, oh, something's happening now.
Yeah.
It was definitely a gradual thing.
Oh, that's nice though, man. Yeah, it's just good to have a bit of an insight on how that all happened. You were at Warwick Uni. What was the hip hop scene like at Warwick Uni?
I was the hip hop scene at Warwick Uni. But the hip hop scene was me. But you know what? Like, it really served me well in a lot of ways, that, because what happened was, this really dates it badly, but they had a weekly acid jazz night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
lovely.
So I started DJing at that, and it was every Thursday night. It was called Mojo, and I had 3 years of just warming up for guest DJs, DJing to a crowd, understanding like how to do that, getting practice doing that. And I really think that if I'd gone to a cooler university city, I wouldn't have been afforded that opportunity. I would have been in competition with so many other people to get those spots. So as much as I love Bristol and Manchester and Brighton and all of that, I think the fact that I was in Warwick
it actually helped.
Yeah, it actually helped me. Yeah.
Damn, that's amazing. Lovely uni, but yeah, I just didn't spot the hip hop when I went over there. Well, actually, just of my own personal interest, because I don't DJ, I don't rap, I don't make beats. When you are DJing, the process of actually DJing, like when you're traveling to, like, say, South Africa, Japan, wherever, when you're about to do a set, what takes the most amount of effort from you? Is it putting the set list together? Is it more reading the crowd at the time, or is it a collection of things? Like, what really drains you more than anything else?
What drains me is a hard one. I think, to be honest with you, the travel I have a real love-hate relationship with the travel.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to live without, as I'm finding out at the moment. But it is also sometimes the hardest thing about the work. Just, one in every 10 journeys just goes to shit, just because that's just how travel works.
Yeah.
And that can be draining. I mean, I put the most effort into preparing music, collecting music, but I don't find that draining. I find that energizing. I enjoy that process. And, if I'm DJing on a weekend, on a Tuesday morning or a Thursday afternoon or whatever, that's what I'm doing. I'm like loading in new music to the computer and thinking about what I can do with it. And then when I'm in the situation and DJing live, I do try and read a crowd, and I never plan what I'm going to play. I just become prepared with loads of music. So that way, if I turn up and I feel like, oh, this could just go, I could play reggae for 2 hours now, then I will, or whatever kind of music. That's one of the advantages of not being kind of pigeonholed like that, is that people kind of expect the unexpected. So yeah, if I want to play all Baltimore club stuff or all rock or whatever I want to play, I just play what I feel is right in the situation.
Yeah.
But so I put effort into all those things, but I wouldn't describe those aspects of it as draining.
Yeah. I get it, man. I get it. Yeah. No, it's nice to hear that it energizes you and lifts you up, and you have a love for it. I mean, I'm sure you do, because that's to be creative, isn't it? You need to find that drive. When you say there about, like, you read the scenes, have you loosened your stance on No Drake? Is that policy still?
I keep an open mind. I'll always I would say in Drake's career, there's maybe been 2 songs that I would feel comfortable to play. I don't mind starting from the bottom. That's all right.
Okay. Yeah.
And what was the one with Eminem?
Forever.
And Lil Wayne?
Is it Forever?
Forever. One? Yeah, I like that, but not because of Drake, really.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I feel you. I just wondered, maybe he's eased up on it now. No, fair.
No, not really.
Absolutely fair. What's the artist that you've put in? I mean, we're talking about the new artists that you're putting into your, like, sets that you thought, that's going to work. But before we do, that reminds me, I copped your Written Doom mixtape.
Oh, nice.
Wicked, mate. Absolutely brilliant. And I was thinking that when you heard that, I don't know, was it straight off the bat when you thought, oh, this is definitely going to work over Doom? Or did you just kind of, I don't know, how did that come about?
I was excited about a J Electronica album. It's long overdue. He's had some moments of utter genius, I think, in the last 10 years. So I was excited. Then when I heard the album, I was like, he's amazing on it, but I'm not convinced about some of these beats that he's chosen.
Okay.
And that led me to think, well, what would I like him to have rhymed over? What kind of beats was I hoping for?
Yeah.
And after giving that some thought, I was like, well, really, Doom beats.
Yeah.
That's what I would have liked. So let's hear what it sounds like. So I just made it.
Fair play, mate. Fair play. Seamless, mate. It's like, wow, that really works. When we talk about Doom in your sets, though, I'm a big Doom fan, just like yourself. What the Doom kind of cuts that really, really do well, like when in sets?
I like to play Friends. That's really good.
Yeah.
I actually think that Food album I love Doom. I think he's genius. But I think that album is probably my favourite. So I return to that a lot. It's not really club music, but I can find a way to make it work sometimes.
That's a talent in itself.
Yeah, it's more the kind of thing that I would play for myself or put on mixtapes.
Yeah.
And if I can find a way to kind of shoehorn it in club set, then I do, but it's not that often.
Oh, fair. Because I was thinking he's a bit of an artist that I can't imagine you being able to easily do that. Then you hear something like Written Doom and you're like, wow, that works seamlessly. Maybe I'm just not thinking about it right.
Yes, you are rocking with the best. This is the one and only Just Blaze. Right now, you're checking out the Crate 808 podcast. Remember to hit up crate808.com, like, comment, subscribe, and all of that. Peace.
When you're looking at stuff like your career, obviously DJing and the AV stuff is amazing, mate. And I don't know, you're at the Natural History Museum and like all these amazing different places. As a kid, was that like an avenue that you could see? As in like, oh, I want to be a little bit different with everything I do.
It's hard to explain that kind of thing. I didn't even envision myself being a DJ by profession at any stage. It kind of happened. I was not trying to make it happen, so I didn't have some plan or some vision for it. And then as it did start happening, I started to realize, well, it's all very well DJing in clubs at midnight on a Saturday night, but I don't think that's really what interests me about this job of DJing. I was interested in the idea of a turntable as a musical instrument, and then I started to go down the path of like, well, I don't think a lot of people think of turntables as a musical instrument, and the way to kind of show them that or change their minds is to take the turntable out of that setting in the club. So that's why it always appeals to me if I'm given any kind of opportunity to DJ in a place that is unexpected.
Yeah.
So that's why I have found myself DJing in cinemas and on boats and in libraries and just like anywhere that's not a club. I mean, I was never really a fan of clubs. I'm a fan of DJing, and I'm always happy when I'm DJing, but I wouldn't really go to a club to dance. It's not really my thing.
Yeah, mate, it perfectly caters for the old me now. Like, I'm almost 40, I've got a kid, and it's like, what better way to take the kid to see some T-Rex bones? Oh, and DJ Yoda's DJing, by the way, so we'll be having best of both worlds.
Exactly. I love a gallery or a museum DJ set, but this is also why the streaming stuff is working so well for me as well. It's like, I don't want to be DJing at 3 a.m. in a club. I'm very happy to just DJ in my own studio and do it at a time that I like and for people that want to see it. And that's appealing to me.
Yeah, man, I like that. If we're moving on to your days at Hip Hop Connection, Fat Lace that we mentioned, do you have any fond memories of those time with the boys and just that team?
It puts you in random situations in the same way that DJing does. And, some of my standout memories are just interviewing Dougie Fresh in a Church of Scientology.
What?
Yeah. I can't remember. I interviewed Roxanne Shante somewhere weird. I can't actually remember where that was. But just getting to meet heroes and chat to them in weird places, that's a special thing.
That's nice, man. And that reminds me, I remember hearing stories about your, because I never got to go to some of these, but like the Spread Love Club nights and stuff like that you did. I mean, I heard stories that, like Peanut Butter Wolf and Madlib, and they're just crashing on your couch.
Yeah, I mean, that was this was underground hip hop time. This was a different era to the time we're living in now.
Yeah, for sure.
I was living with Dan Greenpeace. Me and Dan Greenpeace had a flat in West London, and I was promoting that Spread Love night. And, it wasn't even an era where you would pay for, as a promoter, you wouldn't pay for hotels for people. It was just like, there was this underground hip hop just community of people. And I knew that if like anyone American that was in that world was coming over, they'd crash on our couch. So the people that we had just like sleeping on our sofa, I mean, it's mental now, but it would have been Madlib, the Arsonists, Ugly Duckling, I don't know, just, all that era of hip hop, they were just always around our house. It was a funny time.
That is mad, mate. That's mad. That's amazing. Did you get to like learn stuff? I know they're only there for like the night or 2 nights maybe. So did you get much time to sit with people like that and actually like learn from them a little bit?
Well, we got to hang out, and the club itself, it was such an intimate, tiny space, and it was such a special atmosphere there because we just had a small, loyal following, and it was great to just get to see these people who like went on to have such legendary careers. And just be up close and personal and chat with them about what they were doing, and the whole thing was a learning experience.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, absolutely, it forms you, doesn't it? I suppose at that age as well. So then it just makes me think about you have quite a lot of comedy in your stuff. Like you integrate a lot of just knowingness and a bit of comedy in there. I was just thinking, like, does that translate? Like, I don't know if UK humour translates that well across the globe. Does it? I don't know.
Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, you're right. I always try and like sometimes I even think about some of my sets as it's almost stand-up comedy in a way, but with turntables. I want it to be funny because I don't know why I want it to be funny, because I don't want it to be miserable. That's why.
Yeah.
So and sometimes our British sense of humour is unique it translates well to Australia and New Zealand, which is why I've always had a good time out there. And it's been many years since I've been DJing there, and that's always been somewhere where it clicks and is right. But if I am somewhere more far-flung, or even the States, sometimes the comedy side of what I do doesn't translate, and sometimes I lose it entirely because there's just no point trying to make Brazilians laugh with a British sense of humor. It just doesn't, not going to work.
yeah. I feel you, man. I feel you. Yeah. No, it's just interesting to me because again, it's like you're having to be a lot of versatility, Yoda, in the stuff you got going on. So I love it, mate. I love that. Like, you're willing to, I don't know what to say, kill your babies, isn't it? Like, oh, that's not going to work. I think that takes a lot to do for any creative, to just let go of things sometimes and just go with it.
Well, I've always just tried to be honest with myself in terms of what I like. It's like that Drake thing of like, I don't care that Drake's popping. I don't like Drake, so I won't play it.
Yeah.
And I do like Doom, so I'll play Doom. There's enough things to love in the world. I could spend the rest of my life listening to albums, watching films, reading books. I would never get to the end of stuff that I love. So there is enough stuff out there. So I'm not worried if someone says, it's a bit like when I made the 80s cut and paste mix. And the record label told me at the start, well, because of licensing, you won't be able to use any songs by Michael Jackson or Madonna or Prince. So at that point, I was like, oh, well, then there's not really much point me doing this mix then. But then you think about it, and then it just makes you dig a bit deeper. I was like, well, of course, there's other 80s stuff I love. So it just made me find more interesting stuff. So, limitations are very helpful, I find, and it's good to cut stuff out, and it's good to focus. And it's like you said, like, I love to be given a theme. That's like my favorite thing. It's like, do play only. Like I literally recorded a live streaming set for someone yesterday where they're getting a DJ to do a different DJ does a different letter of the alphabet in terms of just only artists beginning with that letter.
Wow, that's sick. I like that.
Yeah. So he was like, so we take a trip into your record collection, only play songs by artists whose names begin with the letter R. And that's perfect for me. I'm like, wicked. Like, I love it. Give me some limitations, give me something to focus on. And that's how I thrive. What I find difficult is to someone say, just do a mix. That's a lot harder because I'm like, well, where do you start? There's so many good things in the world. How can I make this a focused thing?
Hey, yo, this your boy Foul March, and right now, you are rocking live with the Crate 808 podcast. Enjoy this week's episode, and just remember to subscribe and rate and review. Peace.
Are there moments from the 90s that you think, like, do you know what, we could learn that lesson today?
I think there was a real focus then on skills. It was all about your skills as a rapper. It was about your skills as a DJ. That has all but disappeared. I mean, there's like tiny pockets. I mean, you could point at someone like Kendrick. I mean, you could point at Eminem because he comes out of that era. It doesn't make him good, but it is true. But there was so much, people became popular in the 90s, or rappers became popular in the 90s because of how good they were at rapping, which sounds such a basic thing to say, but that's just not the way that it works now. So, if we were to transfer one lesson across, that would be a great one.
Yeah. Do you think it's just lyricism? Do you think it's just lyricism really that counts on?
No, it's way more than just lyricism. It's personality first and foremost. I think that like some of my favorite rappers aren't even great lyricists. They're just so unmistakably them. I mean, I'm thinking about Biz Markie as I'm saying it, but there are plenty of other examples of just, a great rapper for me, like you should, as soon as they start rapping, you know exactly who it is. And it couldn't possibly be anyone else. So that doesn't come down to just lyricism. It's just about, I don't know. It's something unmistakable and unique.
Yeah. There's a few characters in rap now, I think, that have emerged, like outside of, because a lot of 90s heads, I realise, do say J. Cole and Kendrick as the first points of call. And then now I look at it and I think, do you know what? There's actually been quite a lot of trademark stuff. It's like when Travis Scott does something, I kind of know it's Travis, and I do really like Travis Scott.
Yeah, I quite like Travis Scott, actually. Like, it's listenable for me, which is saying something.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could say the same about J. Cole. I don't think I would know it. I don't think I would hear a song and think, oh, this is definitely J. Cole.
That's interesting.
I would be told this is J. Cole, and then I'd be like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Oh, yeah. That's why I didn't know. Yeah, no, which is absolutely fair, man. But then when you hear like Westside Gunn, when Westside Gunn kind of like...
That's why I love Westside Gunn. That is exactly why I love Westside Gunn.
Yes, thank you, man.
I mean, I'm really a fan. Like, all that stuff is... I mean, to me, my favourite stuff at the moment is that, Rock Marciano, Car.
Oh, Car.
That whole kind of like no drums, Alchemist-y kind of... Because it just represents to me the kind of evolution of that Queensbridge Mobb Deep sound.
Thank you, man. And do you know what you're saying there?
Not everyone feels the same. Yeah, not everyone feels the same, but that's definitely how I feel.
Yoda, man. I remember when we were tweeting something about a month ago or something like that, and it was Andrew Emery, yourself, Snips, Rob Percy. They were all chatting about that same thing, and I was just thinking at the time, like, this is the evolution of that Mobb Deep sound. And I'm glad you highlighted that, because it made me feel that way. And like you said, everyone has their opinion, and 90% of my mates don't like it because of, the same arguments, and that's fair enough. But there's just something about that I think I can just see in the stuff that we used to listen to.
Yeah, exactly. I like the nature of the samples. The very same thing that I think some people don't like about it is what I like, which is that kind of monotonous kind of... It's lazy and monotonous, but in a good way. That's how I would describe it.
Do you know what you should listen to? Yeah, this lazy and monotonous album. It's amazing. You'd love it.
Exactly. I know it's not for everyone, but it's definitely like, that's my go-to listening if I'm driving or something.
Yeah, man. Do you know the really weird thing is about all that crew? I think it's Derringer or Alchemist or whatever it is. I bump a lot of that just because our Crate 808 Bangers playlist has a lot of that on. And I just play it in shuffle or whatever in the background. My missus loves it. Like, she loves it. She hates trap, and never really is a Mobb Deep fan. And then she'll go, what's that track again? It'll be, oh, that's Conway. And she'll be, oh, that's brilliant. I love that track. And it's really odd.
Interesting.
It's actually quite accessible, to be fair. We were just talking there, and we mentioned Car. Have you heard his new album? I know you're a fan, right?
I want to hear it, but it's not on Spotify, is it? So I haven't heard it yet. I'm waiting for it. Yeah, I don't know how they're sometimes weird, those guys, with the way they release their stuff. I know Rock Marciano does it. He always puts stuff on his own website for a while before it goes onto all the streaming services.
Yeah.
And I don't tend to buy vinyl anymore, especially not of that kind of thing. So I tend to, Spotify is actually my favorite way to listen to new music. So I wait till stuff's on there.
Yeah, man. I've got a little treat for you then, Yoda, man. It came on this morning.
Woo!
There you go. There you go. Now you can listen to it. It's sick, man. It's really good. If we're talking about the 90s then, if you're looking at it, what 90s artist do you think has aged the best for all these decades?
I mean, I don't know why we keep coming back to Doom in this conversation, but he's on the top of my mind, so that's why I would go to him first.
Nice. No, I mean, it's nice to have that. Everyone says Jay-Z. Everyone says Jay-Z usually, so I'm glad that we got Doom in there.
I'm not a huge Jay-Z fan. I know that's kind of a weird thing to say. I don't dislike him. I've always just quite liked him. So he stayed consistent in that way.
Yeah. Oh, these recommendations are amazing.
I know. Well, I mean, a good example of someone who I've loved since the 90s is Master Ace.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I think there's very few that you can say have been consistently good. I would put Master Ace in that category. I put OC in that category, and I put Ed OG. I mean, that's why I reached out to Ed OG on my last album, because I was just thinking about people in those terms, like who's been good since the 90s, and still I would trust to always make a wicked track. And yeah, those are the kind of names that were coming in my head for that.
Yeah, nice, man. I like it. If I'm giving you like the access to any 90s studio session and you can be a fly on the wall, which studio session would you want to jump onto and why?
Probably go for the doo-wop full 94 mixtape. Because he used to start all his mixtapes with all his crew, just like, everyone would get like there was Snagglepuss and everyone in doo-wop's crew. I love that. I don't know. I'm from such a mixtape culture. The Ron G's and the doo-wops of this world and the Kid Capri's. That was like, I would love I'd love to have been around for that.
Nice one, man. I love that. I love it. And I doubt you're going to have one for this, but I'm going to have to ask you anyway, just in case. We all know the bling era kicked in, and kind of took the culture and ran with it. What's the blingiest thing you've ever bought or wore? We're talking to the man who ate a quiche in a lake, people. I just want to give that context again.
Yeah, I know, exactly. That's the benchmark. I had at one point a BMW M5, which is not a very me kind of a car to drive.
Nice,
it was a bit boy racery, and that just was a bit blingy for me.
Yeah,
that's about as far as it went.
But still,
yeah, I was not really like. I've never been a designer labels popping champagne kind of a character.
One night only, though, would be quite funny. One night only to see you doing that.
Yeah.
And then if I could give you a time machine and it drops you back off at a point, right, in your life, in the 90s, would you risk a ride in it, right? And if so, which point would you go to?
I don't think I look back like that. I don't pine for the 90s like that. So if I had the choice, I probably wouldn't use it. I think there's enough to get excited about at the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking forward. You know, I don't know, the future sounds exciting to me. I love the fact that there's been all these different eras. I'm obsessed with loads of them. There's loads of stuff I love from the 60s and the 70s and the 30s and the 40s and everything.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't need to be there. I'm just glad it exists.
That's nice, man. I like that. Look at how mature that answer is. There you go. All your listeners out there are having a go at me all the time for, you need to talk about more 90s. It's like, come on, guys, we can move forward together. Come on.
I'm happy to talk about it. Listen, I can go for hours about 90s rap. That's what I know the most about. And
but I love that.
There's so much I love about it. But yeah, I wouldn't need a time machine.
Fair, man. Is there some albums that you, I don't know, that kind of, you could say, desert island disc situation? I won't give you any number here, but is there certain ones that you think, I adore this too much, I would have to take it with me from the 90s?
I mean, it so much depends on my mood. I go through phases of stuff. There are so many that I love. Weirdly, like OC, Word Life, always comes to mind. Because in a way, that's kind of like my Illmatic.
Oh, yeah.
Just for me. I don't know why, it just clicked with me. I just love the production on it. Again, with all the showbiz and AG, like probably Runaway Slave, I'd have that as one of my favorites. So the DITC stuff, definitely. Nice and Smooth was also like another group who they were always my favorite. Bismarcky, that kind of more fun, party-driven, funny, just like that stuff kind of jumped out at me because it was more colourful.
Yeah,
there's so much. I mean, I could go on forever just listing random 90s stuff that I like, and all from different types of scenes as well. Like, I was massively into hieroglyphics.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, Souls of Mischief, Dale, Casual, all of that were really big favourites of mine. Beat Nuts, Mobb Deep, there was stuff to like in all of that. And I haven't even mentioned like any Native Tongue stuff.
No, I like it, man. We're so privileged to have grown up where it caters for a lot of different moods. There wasn't just kind of one thing. It was like, feel a bit down now, so I'm going to put on this. Do you know what I mean? Or you feel a bit like, I think there's a lot to be said for that for the 90s. But we talk about that then. If we talk about like 90s crews and obviously how we've all got older, everything changes, like you said there. Like, you don't want to be in a club all night and whatever. Did you ever manage to go to Rap Gods when it came around? And if you did, what did you think, man?
I didn't. I caught a lot of it just online from people's various posts, and I was really glad that it happened. And one of those things, I'm glad it existed. I don't really feel like I needed to be there. It's just not really something that I felt a massive urge to be at.
Yeah.
But it looked cool. I love the position that Premier has in hip hop in the year 2020. He's just such a humble, respected, loving guy. And it's so nice that there's someone like that who can feel the love from and all the kind of influence that he's had whilst he's still alive.
Yeah.
I mean, this is on my mind because Ty died today. And a character like Ty, it was such a shame that he didn't get to like read the outpouring of love for him after he went, because he was really respected and probably not told enough. So it did make me think that it's nice when you do get characters like Premier, like Chuck D, like De La Soul, who probably feel how much they've inspired the world. So that's nice.
Yeah, no, I completely get it. Like, a lot of people I know don't really like gigs anymore, especially rap gigs. There's just a history of them not being very good. And it's the same thing, mate. It was like, well, do you know what? It's just amazing that we can see all these people in the same lineup. And you talk about Ty there, and I appreciate you bringing him up because obviously, as we're recording this, it only just happened. And it's amazing when you sit down with someone like that and you think like, yeah, man, like people should talk about you more. And I'm glad that we got to do that, like in 2019 and actually say, look, listen, there's people out here at Rodney P, Black Twang, Roots Maneuver, people like that have, for the UK scene, it's not all about grime and stuff like that. There was this UK scene before all of that, and yeah, man.
Everyone you mentioned, needs more respect on their name because they were so influential, and all this kind of there would be no Stormzy, no Wiley, none of that without all that happening first. And I think those in the know it, but I think the wider music community doesn't. And deeper names than that, I always used to love Lewis Parker. I thought he was amazing.
Yeah.
There was that whole scene out of Nottingham that was amazing. There was aspects out of Bristol. There was, exactly. There was, and a lot of those names have kind of been brushed out of the story of it all, which is sad to me.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. Yeah, we need to get them back. We need to, kind of dig them guys out. It'd be nice to chat to them. When we talk about your love for other things like outside of rap as well, like you've kind of transported your DJing to them. You've married up like video games and sci-fi films, like into your AV shows and stuff like that. I'd love to know, though, which 90s game and or sci-fi film do you wish you could have scored and why?
Well, it's kind of like your other question. I almost wouldn't wish that I had that opportunity because I would have probably fucked it up and not made it as good as it is now.
Let's say you could remix the score. That's all right. There we go.
Yeah, but say I was really good at it. Then I think Robocop, the original Robocop, would be a very cool thing to soundtrack.
Nice.
They did such a good job with it anyway, but that one springs to mind.
Yeah.
Games, I don't know, Street Fighter 2, a classic. Outrun, even older than that.
Outrun, nice.
Yeah.
No Echo the Dolphin.
I don't know. All these, probably not Echo the Dolphin, no.
Someone put some respect on Echo's name. Come on now. Come on.
Hey guys, this is Jerobi from A Tribe Called Quest, and you're listening to the Crate 808 podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, crate808.com. Go check it out. Peace.
Stranger Things was done well for you because people I know who don't really get into rap, that was on their radar, so it must have done really well, that Stranger Things mix that you did.
I mean, that has probably had more listens than anything else I've ever done, and as is often the way with these things, I've had albums out that I've spent 4 years making, and I did that Stranger Things mix in one afternoon.
Oh, you're joking.
And but it's always been the way, like the few things that I've done that have been seen or heard by the most people, like for instance, I once did a kind of AV scratch mix thing for ITV for one of the football. I don't follow football at all. I'm completely football ignorant. I don't even know whether it was the FA Cup or the World Cup or whatever it was. I'm so ignorant about it that I had to get people to tell me that's the important bit. Scratch that bit,
Right.
and because that was on ITV or whatever on the finals, so many people saw that. But it's like something that I don't care about. I don't care about football, and I just did the mix because it was a cool thing to get asked to do.
That's mad.
So the Stranger Things thing, at least the kind of content of it was, I made that mix because I'd finished watching the first series of that program and I loved all the music in it. I was like, this struck such a chord with me, and it's stuff that I feel would work really well on a mixtape. So I just recorded it one afternoon and stuck it up on a SoundCloud, the same that I have done a million other times with a million other things.
Yeah.
And you can't predict these things. Sometimes they go viral, and that one did.
Yeah, that's mad. That is mad. When you're watching that show, which character are you then, mate? Come on. Is there a character you see yourself in where you're like, yeah, I'm really am that person?
Whatever I can't even remember their names now, but then like the super nerdy one.
Oh yeah, no teeth. Yeah.
That guy.
He's got a bright future, that lad. He has got a bright future.
Yeah, I can identify with it. I mean, I love all movies or shows that have those kind of American high school stereotypes in. So if you've got jocks and nerds and all that kind of stuff, that's something that has always fascinated me. And I've always been fascinated by that kind of thin line or the grey area that separates nerds with super cool people, because there is totally like some crossover in that Venn diagram, and that's something that's always interesting to me.
That's cool, man. Yeah, no, definitely. Without really realizing it too much, but definitely for me as well. That's why I love coming of age films. And when you watch stuff, you're like, God, yeah, that is exactly. It's hard to describe, but when something really nails it, man, you're like, wow, that really, really gets it.
Yeah, totally. And everything from like the Goonies to Stand By Me and the Wonder Years and all those kind of like kids. It generally happens over a summer, doesn't it? Like story of what happened that summer.
That's so true. If I was to give you then an unlimited budget and creative freedom, right? You've hit all these themes and places you've done so far. What are the ones you'd love to tackle in your sets, and like where you would be? What would you want to do if you could do it?
Well, I'm kind of lucky enough that I just do that anyway, man. That's
good.
That's how I organize my time. Like pretty much every year, I just think, right, I'm going to get stuck into a new thing. What am I into at the moment?
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up making a country and western mix. It's how I ended up doing a project with a classical orchestra. You know, the last thing that I just completed, like just before the lockdown started, was I made a whole AV show of Tarantino related stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Just because the new film came out and it got me thinking, and I was like, well, this is a really interesting guy. I really would love to group together all the major musical moments of his career and make something out of that with scratching the video as well. And that is just how I organize my time. I just every year I think like, what am I into? What would I like to immerse myself in? And it's almost like a kind of like a scholarly process. I do deep dives into stuff and really read about it and listen as much as I can and listen to podcasts, read the internet, you know, and organize stuff. And I think that's an essential part of DJing for me, is research and understanding and just getting your head around stuff and categorizing.
Yeah, man. If we were to talk about one of our subjects we have usually on here, we all love the woo, the solo joints as well. And boy, they've got a massive catalogue. So we've got a playlist, which is the Slept On Wu-Tang Bangers playlist. So tracks that you think, do you know what? They deserve a bit more love. Is there any Wu tracks where you think, could be solo joints as well, but
I like that runner that Ghostface had where he was rhyming over whole songs rather than samples.
Yeah.
So like No, he did, didn't he? He did the Dawn Pen. And there was a couple of others. I think there was like a Delphonics one or Stylistics or some kind of 70s. I love that, and I love his kind of don't give a fuck attitude to that. Ghostface has always been one of my favorites. I think my favorite Wu stuff is probably the first Raekwon album. It's Only Built for Cuban Links is probably the standout Wu album for me.
No, I love that, man. Yeah, wicked. Yeah. I'm not sure if you have these kind of lists in your head. It strikes me that you probably don't, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you had like your 5 favourites, your 5 favourite MCs, like I know you can't just say 5 because it's probably like 50, but if there's 5 that come to your mind, is Ghost in there?
No, Ghost isn't in there. I know that. The 5 that are in my mind, as like I said before, they could probably change a lot depending on my mood. I always say Redman is in my top 5.
Love it.
I always say Biz Markie is in my top 5, and Big Daddy Kane. Yeah, I say Kane, Biz, and Redman are the 3 definites. The other 2 chop and change around a lot. Yeah, it's really hard to say. I think that so much depends on my mood. You know, it could be Andre one day.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I think that Grand Puba might be in my top 5. Like,
oh, what voice!
It's just, you know, it's voice, and Guru could be in my top 5 as well. It gets hard from there.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely.
It changes
fair.
a lot. It's like you say, I could probably name 50 better than I can name 2 extra ones.
I understand, man. You talked about Biz Markie there, though. Mate, you love cereal, like breakfast cereal. Like, how did you link that up with Biz? How did you even link that up?
I always have loved cereal. I've always loved the just the aesthetic of it. I don't know, the way that cereal packets look, it's just something that's always appealed to me. So I collect in the same way that you'll find that most DJs collect something else other than records as well, whether it be toys or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then I grew up listening to Biz. He was my favorite rapper from first time that I heard anything that he did. I knew that he had that obsession as well. If you look on the back of the Biz Never Sleeps, it's a photo of him and Cool V pouring cereal out.
Yeah.
And then I heard that he collected cereal too. And so I don't remember how I first got in touch with him, but I do remember that there was a good year where we were just back and forthing. We'd be on the phone the whole time, and just the 2 things that we have in common are cereal and kids records. Like, we both collect kind of Sesame Street vinyl and things of that nature. So we would spend a lot of time just compiling mixes for each other of just music that we were both into. So when it came time to make my first album, I was like, I definitely want to make a song about cereal with Biz.
That's amazing.
So we did that and made a song about Haunted House as well.
Yeah. That's it's quite inspiring, mate. Like, you know, I know it's serial, but what I'm saying is it could be anything. It's like you found something that you really enjoyed, and you found to kind of put that in your craft. And it's quite hard to do that. Like, it's a big up, man. Big up. I really enjoy that. Seriously, it's nice.
Yo, what up, y'all? This is DJ Premier, and you're checking out the Crates 808 podcast. I put an S on it because there's more than one record in the crate, you know what I'm saying? So that's how we dig, that's how we play, and that's what real DJs do. You heard? That's why it goes down. We out here.
Well, Yoda, man, thank you for your time. I appreciate you just joining us in this lockdown and, you know, and taking your time out to just jump on. What's coming up? Have you got anything you can tell us that's coming up from you?
Well, I mean, this lockdown has changed things quite a lot. I was at a point where I'd almost finished a new album.
Oh, okay.
And I was waiting for some. I'm basically a few vocals short of a finished album. So all the music's done. I was waiting on some vocals, and the lockdown situation's really ruined that. Oh. So as soon as I'm able to, and as soon as we have some free movement, I'll have this new album, which will be my 5th album, and I feel super proud of it. Like I really feel like my first 3 albums are in one bracket. The last album that I did was really like a step up for me, and then this new one is a step up again. So I'm excited about that, but it's very difficult to give you any more finalized information until the world gets back to any kind of normality.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And hopefully when it does, and obviously then you'll be gigging again.
And then I'll be on the road again, and be out there, and I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, man. But
who knows when it will be?
Yeah, man. Yeah, but when that album comes out, mate, we will love to have you back on if you want to talk it through, break it down with us, mate. We'd love that. Obviously, if there's any other mixtapes you drop just off the cuff, mate, I love that kind of stuff. It just, keeps them dark thoughts at bay.
Yeah, nice, good. I'm glad that it does that. Thank you, and I really appreciate you having me on here. And just to say as well that like my whole career of mixes is all available on one USB stick from my Bandcamp page. So if anyone's interested in just getting the whole lot, it's like a lifetime's work, and it's all on one kind of cassette-shaped USB on my Bandcamp page. So that's out there if people are interested.
No, brilliant, man. Yeah, definitely. Go cop that, people. Go cop it. So Yoda, man, just leaves me with one thing then before you do step out. We ask everyone the same thing before they leave. What's the last great piece of music you heard? It could be old, could be new, could be anything. Just the last great piece of music you heard.
Now I'm going to have to open my Spotify for this one.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Definitely.
Do you know what it was? I just finished the Richard Russell book. He's the guy that ran XL Records, and it was a really enjoyable book, and he recommended loads of music in it, including a bunch of stuff that he worked on. And one of the things he talks about in it is Bobby Womack's last album, which he produced with Damon Albarn.
Oh.
And it occurred to me that I'd never actually heard it, so I went back and listened to that and really enjoyed it. So if you're into your soul,
yeah, mate, wicked. I've never even heard that. It's produced by Damon Albarn. That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why it wasn't on my radar at the time for whatever reason, but I'm glad I found it.
Nice one, man. Nice one. Yes, everyone, go check that out. Go check out Yoda's mixes. Spread the word. And yeah, Yoda, man, hopefully we'll catch you again soon. And just keep doing what you're doing, man. Just keep smashing it.
Thank you, bro. Much appreciated.
Nah, man, appreciate you. Thank you again, and all the best, mate. Peace.
Peace.